AskReddit by Letethaka predict what was ruined by rich people? The price of housing. Either renting or owning, it's insane. Worldwide. Concerts, you can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost and people still pay for it. I stopped drinking at shows because of it. I have a couple beers in the parking lot, sip on a bottle of water in the show, and not go stand in the bathroom line every 45 minutes. Saves me a ton of money too. Renting. The overabundance of Airbnbs and $2,000 studio apartments in rural suburban places is outrageous and ruining the possibility for low income and working class people to have a roof over their heads. I live in New York State, and ever since COVID all these city richies are buying up all the cheap places in the country to try and make a profit as if they need any more money. Fuck Airbnb. Alternative title: fucking regulated short-term rental markets. Thrift stores. Deleted. Clothing brands. Carhartt, Dickies, Levi's and many more. Like, why did a Dickies shirt go from $15 to almost $40 in a few years? Deleted. Old school ski mountains with family vibes and stone lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly ski patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them yuppieville, and then it happened. New people bought the local mountain and they were desperately trying to find guys to work there. Lots of people were interested until they found out there was a mandatory drug test. Imagine drug testing your ski bums in a legal state. Something tells me that policy is gone next year. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. For a fun day out with you and a friend at an NFL game will run you around $500. Or you could watch it on your big screen TV at home, which has better play-by-play and angles than being at the game where you end up watching half of it on a monitor anyway. Unless I get tickets for free, I don't even bother going to sporting events anymore. Theme parks. Gone are the days when everyone was equal and you all had to queue, regardless of your income. And even until recently some theme parks gave fast passes periodically throughout the day. Now if you've got deep pockets you can queue jump, making your day a little better and everyone else's a little worse. I haven't been to Disney since 2015 when they still had the free fast passes. My mum went earlier this year and I couldn't believe it when she told me how bad the system is now. Plus everything theme park related post-pandemic has been so crowded you can't even move. I wonder if it will ever be the same as before. Probably not though. Being poor. I can't even be homeless without trying to fight for a camping spot. Haha, there are rich folks camping in their Benz Sprinter in front my apartment as I type this. Collecting. In the past few years the price of little collectibles and things of that sort have gone insanely high. Cards, action figures, you name it. Just look up any sub for a hobby and you'll see people dropping your entire salary in one day. Lego. I kind of collect it, but I know I will never own all of the figures and sets I would like, because they are locked away behind such insane amounts of money. Music festivals. Used to be a bunch of hippies having a good time and doing drugs. Now it's rich kids taking selfies dressed as hippies and doing drugs. Deleted. The standard of living for everyone else. Montessori schools. The method was created to be able to teach poor orphans well despite little funding. Now it's some sort of elite schooling for $20k plus a year. Concerts and sporting events. Even NASCAR tickets are expensive now. The housing market. Just the economy in general tbh. Once the rich find out about anything good, they wreck it for the rest of us. Sex. Drugs. Rock and roll. Internet. Environment. Internet was the one I was going to go with. Back when the internet was just losers who had no other place in society, everything was cool. You knew the only people online were people who genuinely wanted to be part of the community and subculture. Then the rich people found out about it, and now it's nothing but ads, subscriptions fees, data gathering, and rich people pretending to be hip. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they are into them because they like Pokemon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammered their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fuck about comics. They just collect popular valuable stuff. YouTuber Carl Jobst had a good video on this for vintage video games. Basically, a new grader named Water Games came out of nowhere, claimed to be the lead in the industry for rating in-box games. Entirely false. Multiple others already existed, and the owner had zero history. Any game Water listed was sold by Heritage Auction House for over $1 million. You used to be able to get a new in-box Mario Bros. NES game for like $1,000 if someone was selling. Now they're millions a piece. Until they got sued. Very much a plainly obvious scam. Burning Man was the first thing I thought of when Mark Zuckerberg is helicoptering into staying a billionaire camp with air-conditioned mobile homes. Burning Man has lost whatever counterculture standing it had. Cheap foods, like chicharrones or tlaytano. I'm from Mexico. When I was a kid, tlaytano was something that were even gift and meat market. Now they sell you a damn bone in meat price or even higher. The same with chicharron. That was really cheap to buy, but with rich people discovering how good it is, now is impossible. All places up the prices because rich people buy it at high rates, and don't know what the heck they are shopping anyway. Brisket used to be a leftover cut given to the workers who figured out how to make it awesome. Now we have brisketflation and rich people smoking them on their $1,500 Bluetooth-enabled pellet smoker. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sorta like 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. This seems to be the norm once cars reach around 25 to 30 years old. People that grew up with these cars are now in their 40s and can afford to pay for them. Edit. Okay, obviously the car has to be desirable or somewhat rare for this to hold true. Can't just buy an early 2000s Corolla and expect it to be worth begin 20 years. Unless it's a Toyota Corolla Matrix XRS. These cars are hidden gems and might be worth something in the future. Trust. Everything really. Moffists have more money than common sense and jack up the prices for the rest of us. Yay, I'm really struggling to think of things they haven't ruined. Nerd paraphernalia like Star Wars or Marvel DC stuff, action figures, comic books, etc. Used to be just a fun hobby for kids and kids at heart, now it's almost totally purchased by richer, dedicated speculators solely for profit. I feel like this is driving up the price of Legos too. With the rise of more expert designer sets and whatnot. It makes me very sad. I loved Legos as a kid but now I'd only be able to afford the buckets of stuff. The creativity buckets are nice but I love the sets. I want to be able to build a Harry Potter set but they are also damn overpriced. Beaches, overdevelopment, they fuck it up every damn time. Rich people have ruined a lot of things in California, but one thing I love about the state is that you cannot own the beaches. Every beach is public access. No trashy fences blocking off sections of private beach access like in Florida. I have learned a few things after positing my comment. First, Florida has a similar law to California, but some resort owners abuse a loophole where they put up fences in private property and force people to pay if they want to pass through. Is this legal under Florida law? I don't know, I'm not an expert. From what Floridians are saying, this is a fairly uncommon practice. Thank you to all who replied. I learned a decent amount about beach access laws and loopholes. Ultimately, I hope wherever you live, You can fight against legislation seeking to block public access to your beaches. Everyone should have the right to enjoy the coasts along this beautiful country. The middle class. They absolutely bodied the middle class. I wonder if I'll ever get to live the 20s that people always recommend, where you get to travel and do the shit you want to do. LMAO, I wonder if I'll ever own my own place or if I'll be stuck at home for most my life. Aspen, Colorado, where the beer flows like wine. Formerly cool towns: Denver, Austin, Asheville, etc. Cries in Austin. My entire life I grew up in San Antonio and used to come up to Austin with 4 friends with $100 each and have ourselves a rowdy day and night and the Subaru one to drive us home. Moved here a while back and that $100 is gone before you've gone anywhere. Uber is expensive. Parking is expensive. Food is expensive. Everything is fucking expensive. Cheap and simple dishes: ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not worse. I love that taco trucks charge somewhere between $1 and $20 for tacos. My hometown. A lot of the long-time locals here are working class and it used to have a bigger sense of community. In the recent decade, rich people have decided that it's a cute small town with pretty scenery to buy a second home to rent out to other rich people who want to visit. Many of the long-time residents here are struggling to find homes. Meanwhile, rich people who just discovered this small town can easily buy a home or rent an overpriced Airbnb. Literally disgusting here now. Deleted. Bourbon. It used to be the most expensive bourbon you could find was like $100. Now, with everyone collecting, the prices have skyrocketed. The secondary market is completely insane. I remember a couple of years ago you could walk in a Bevmo and just pick up a bottle of Blanton's, walk home, make your mint julep and it's all good. Nowadays, it's like Blanton's is some Shangri-La of bourbon. Fucking John Wick. Housing flipping for sure, looking to potentially buy at the moment, and everything has been fitted with new grey kitchens and modern lighting etc, which isn't my style. I may be in the minority here, but means paying way more for a house and then having the job of ripping everything out. I don't want luxury anything. I just want a home. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. You can thank the Food Network and Food Documentarian for that. Once people started learning how to cook them, they went nuts. Thrifting. Thrifting is cool when it's rich people donating and poor people buying. Everest. This is why I plan to die on K2 instead. Colorado. Why is everyone saying Colorado? Can someone explain this for the international crowd? So many things, but I'll say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves. Now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. And they're all fucking humongous now. I was so excited that Ford was bringing back the Ranger until I found out it's as big as the F-150 was a decade ago. Give me a compact pickup that isn't 20 years old and rusted to shit. Tulum, Jackson Hope, Aspen, many rural areas of Colorado, Antigua, Guatemala, Land Rover Defenders, etc. Can confirm Tulum. From one of the most beautiful places in Mexico to an overpriced, gentrified, drug-infested dumpster fire for rich fake hippie kids and Euro junkies. Almost everything that has anything to do with money at this point. Government. Of the rich. By the rich. For the rich. Thailand. It used to be a backpacker's paradise. You used to be able to stay in huts on the beach and eat in local family-run restaurants. all taken over by 5-star spa resort hotels, international chains and businesses moved in. It's also very hard for the locals here in Thailand. We don't have effective law against monopolies. Only a few rich corporates own most of the country's businesses and drove the locals out of theirs. The government also just enacted a new law where foreigners can actually own lands and properties if they pay up. Chinese billionaires are swooping up everything they can. When I was 21 and single, fishmongers used to give away throw-out fish heads. They now charge. Flank steak was way cheap until people learned how to cook it. Now it's bloody expensive. Sailboats. Used to be you could on a working man's salary get a decent day sailing boat that you could go out with for the day with enough cabin space and amenities to live aboard for a long weekend, maybe a week. Like the MacGregor 26. But nobody makes mere sailboats anymore. They make yachts. Expensive, over-designed yachts. You can still pick up an old Catalina for $5,000 or less, but if you want something made in the last 20 years it's crazy expensive. The problem is most boat owners never leave the dock. A boat is just another status symbol that you get to show off to your poorer friends. There are guys like myself that like cheap boats that you can wrench on and then sail the shit out of them, but they are few and far between. Most boats are simply floating patios where you serve domestic cheese and bad wine. Renting, buying property, taxes, anything that affects my ability to live the future I want based on cost living while they're out on vacation in Bali. Environment. Yes, I will just turn off the light in my living room when I'm not using it. I'm sure it will combat the billions of tons of quota created by those private planes. Healthcare. Where do I start? Rural living. They keep migrating like locusts and devouring all the woods and land. How many yogurt shops and fancy neighborhoods do these need? Also, Aldi. I don't shop there anymore. I liked it better back in the day when it wasn't fancy, aisles narrow, and other poor or frugal people were shopping. Now the live laugh loves are in there with no sense of personal space. Watch out when the spiral hands are on sale lol. I think we covered thrifting, housing, and cheap eats. I hope they never think beans and rice are trendy. Those are my staples. I also hate that they are now into prepping survival too. I think they were the ones crazy buying TP because poor people already know how to shop sensibly and keep a working pantry. I learned from my grandparents who lived during the Depression. The middle class family's ability to live comfortably on a single wage. The middle class family's ability to live comfortably on 2 wages. I started living on my own in 2015. I used to be able to feed myself for $60 a month while renting an apartment for $650 a month. Then I take a step up, get a job that's paying a little more an hour, and I think I'll be okay. Maybe set some money to the side and be able to buy a house one day. But then there is a shortage of this and that, and suddenly my pay increase is being eaten by those things. Rinse and repeat. Now in 2022 I'm renting a home with my husband for $1,800 a month. The going rate in our area, and groceries for about $300 a month. The goth subculture, it used to always be make everything yourself, build it with basics. I've been part of the subculture for the last 15 years. Now if I don't wear dollskill or Killster, luxury goth clothing, 14-year-olds on the internet tell me it's not goth. I was waiting for an answer like this. Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Edit. Wow, lots of upvotes. Going forward, upvotes will be $8. Hawaii Constitution makes any place with sand touching the ocean to be publicly accessible. Definitely appreciate them for that one. ATVs. I remember when a 500cc machine was overkill. Now everyone has 25k UFs that are like driving trucks on the trails. Lobsters. Yes, when my mom was a kid, It was the kids of fishermen who brought lobster sandwiches to school in their lunches and they were made fun of by the other kids. I love lobster, so would be nice if it wasn't so expensive now. The economies and well-being of natives of a crap ton of islands. I'm talking Hawaii, places in the Caribbean, etc. Becoming economically dependent on tourist culture that is created and ultimately profited on by rich foreigners sucks. PPL can argue about whether or not their trip to these places are helping the economy or not, but what's undeniable is that the people creating these tourist economies don't give a single shit about the natives as they bulldoze through sacred sites and native neighborhoods in order to hand out culturally inaccurate hula skirts at 3-star hotels.